So next, I'd like to introduce Christopher Morgan-Knapp, who's Associate Professor of Philosophy here at Binghamton University. Somebody I've enjoyed speaking to as well over the last couple of days, weeks, when I first met him, about his interest in people, particularly the environment, the ethics involved in humanity and shared interests. He is the director of a very popular and innovative program here at BU, which is the Philosophy, Politics, and Law program. There's a very interesting combination of concepts that is so popular here. There are 300 majors within it. He's also focused a lot of his research on environmental ethics and theories of well-being. And so while we often think of philosophy as esoteric, there is here as well very practical implications. Today, Christopher is going to be speaking to us about an element that he's come across, which, along the lines of what Fred pointed out, often occupies a lot of space in our being and may influence and perhaps hinder our progress in connecting with others, making some good decisions for ourselves. And that subject is how we look and compare ourselves to others, and then perhaps not feel so good in contrast. And I think we all do this at one time or another, but I think Christopher's research not only reveals that that is detrimental, but implores us to consider how we might address that. So, Christopher.
So, thank you very much, Michael, for the introduction. And I was especially thankful because during Fred's talk, I got so relaxed that I lost a lot of that nervous energy that helps. So I got it back while you were speaking. So, yeah. Okay, I'd like to start with something I read in business news lately. Kim, maybe you heard this, that the CEO of Virgin Atlantic, the airline, instituted a new vacation policy for employees. And the policy was that any employee could take any amount of time off whenever they wanted. They didn't even need to get approval. They just had to say, I'm going. Right? And I had that first thought too. I was like, whoa. I mean, the CEO, I think he likes to be thought of as kind of a visionary, but I had this picture of him being a visionary in an empty office building. But then I did some more reading, and I realized that he's not quite so crazy as it might seem. Here's a statistic. On average, American workers left 3 vacation days, paid vacation days, unused last year. Okay. So that translates into 427 million days of unused vacation time. That's over 1 million years. Okay. And so when I read that, right, I thought, well, it's not the CEO who's insane, maybe it's us. Right? I mean, it sure looks like we have got our priorities out of whack. I mean, if we're choosing to spend extra time at work for no pay, right, rather than go home to our families or to our friends, do something we find rewarding or fun or relaxing, that seems like a life out of balance. Now, my first point today is to try to show that actually things are a little bit more complicated than that. That those statistics don't necessarily show that people value work more than they value other things. And the reason that is because there's a different kind of structure to the goals you have at work, often, and the goals you pursue when you take time off. So when you take time off, when I take time off, I'm pursuing goals like being a good parent, right, a good partner or spouse, a good boat builder. But often when we're at work, right, the rewards of work go to those who aren't just good at what they do, but who are better than their peers or the competition. So the rewards of getting a raise or a promotion, or even these days just keeping your job, right, often go to those who perform comparatively better, right, than those around them. And the reason that's important is because when we have comparative goals and non-comparative goals, it often makes more sense to invest our time and energy and resources in the comparative or the competitive ones, even if we think they are equally valuable. So let me try to give an example to help show why I think that's so. All right, so suppose I've got some time off coming to me, right? And there are two things that I might like to do. Right? I might like to work with the boat that my daughter and I are building, right? Or I might like to put some extra time into my research so that I might win a research award. So suppose I choose to put the extra time into research. Well, what happens to my boat, or my daughter's boat? Right? Well, it just stays in the shop. Right? It doesn't get any nearer to being finished, but it also doesn't get any further away from being finished. But now think about what happens if I take time off from work and go to build the boat. Well, my progress towards getting that award, that doesn't just stay put. Why? Well, because all those others who are going and putting in more time into their research, they're getting ahead. So that means that I'm not at the same point as when I left, right? When I return, I'm actually behind. My chances of winning the award have gone down. Right? So even if I think these two things are equally important, right, I lose more of what I care about, right, if I go build the boat than if I stay at work. So I think that is a big part of the explanation for why all those days of paid time off go unused. Right? But it also, I think, shows us that if taken too far, that can lead to a life that gets all out of whack. If we have some non-comparative goals and some comparative goals, we're going to keep over-investing in the comparative ones. Right? So, we have good reason to be wary, I think, of comparative goals. Right. Now, one kind of comparative motivation that I've spent a lot of time thinking about in the last year or so is envy. Now, envy, when you envy somebody, that's not generated so much by the fact that you have too little. Right? It's not that your salary is too low, right, or your house is too small, or your countertops are too out of date. Right? What generates envy is how what you have compares to what somebody else has, right? That your salary is lower than your colleagues, right? Or that your house is smaller than your sister's, right? Or that your countertops, your Formica, is like less cool than your friends. And so envy has that comparative structure, right, that I think we need to be very worried about. But in addition, I think, right, there's a further reason to be suspicious of envy, right? And that's because I think envy, whenever you feel it, is always irrational. Now, what do I mean when I say an emotion is irrational? What I mean is that the emotion presents the world as being some way that, in fact, it isn't. So the emotion is misleading. Right? So take an easy example. Sometimes when I go to get firewood off the stack, I uncover a garter snake nest. Right? The garter snake, slithers away, and whoa! Right? And I'm afraid. I admit it. That kind of fear is irrational in my sense because it makes me feel like that snake is dangerous. But of course, it's not. So I think envy does the same kind of thing. It presents the world as being some way that it couldn't be. So to see that, we have to figure out, well, how does envy present the world? So, you might try to think to yourself sometime where you felt real envy. Not the like, oh, I'm envious, you live so close to the farmer's market kind of envy, but the real deep envy where you're, right? Suppose you find out your colleague has gotten a raise, right, and you haven't. You're envious. Well, the envy makes the world, it calls attention to this difference between you and your colleague, you and the rival, and the envy presents that difference as being bad for you, threatening to your self-esteem. Right? You feel a little diminished or threatened by that difference, and is kind of unjust, unfair. Right? Makes you a little angry. Okay. So now focus on some of those components. So let's take the threat to your self-esteem part of envy. Right? You go into your sister's house, and you realize that it's bigger than yours, grander than yours, and you feel envy. Your colleague gets the raise, and you don't, you feel envy. Right? Well, can the size of your sister's house or your size of your colleague's salary legitimately threaten your self-esteem? Here's one reason for thinking not. What can legitimately influence your self-esteem has to be something you're responsible for. Something you could take credit for. Something you've accomplished or failed to accomplish. Right? It wouldn't make any sense to be proud of yourself for having won the lottery. Right? But in many cases, maybe most, the size of your sister's house or the size of your colleague's salary isn't something you had control over. It isn't something you're responsible for. It's something they did that led them to that place. And so when envy presents it as if their house is a threat to your self-esteem, it's presenting things falsely. Now you might think, oh, wait a minute. Come on, remember you said that it's the comparison between you and the rival, not just what the rival has. So maybe you could, in some cases, be responsible for the fact, not that her house is big, but for the fact that your house is smaller. And that, I guess, could make sense. Having your self-esteem threatened by the smallness of your house, if it was because you've been a slacker or you're a really bad negotiator or something like that. But then, the smallness of your house is something you deserve. The difference between you and your sister or your colleague isn't undeserved. It's not unfair. In fact, it's precisely how things should be. And that, in a nutshell, is why I think envy is always irrational. It presents things as a threat to our self-esteem and as undeserved, but those two things can never be true at the same time. So, along with the fact that envy is this comparative goal that threatens to throw our life out of balance, we now have the irrationality of envy as a reason to banish it from our lives. And the hope is, if we actually rid ourselves of envy, we'll be more likely to take that time off of work, go out to the shop, and build that boat with your kids. All right. Thanks very much.